Right, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings, man. I'm a little bit late right now, but I'm a little bit late in two forms. I'm a little bit late because I said that I was gonna start at 2 o'clock, but I'm also a little late because I was supposed to do this about 2 or 3 days ago, and I'm gonna show you why. Right now, I'm gonna show you this right here. This is a cotton field in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Now, the other day when I took that pictures, if you notice the pictures that I took, the cotton field was like, about this high. Cotton fields was like this high. But now you see they had already harvested all this cotton. Like what I'm walking through now was cotton stalks. Like you see the cotton. All right, so this is a real life cotton field. I wanted to get out here when the cotton was on the thing and really pick some cotton. But I just want to show people that, this cotton field right here was probably right, you know what I'm saying? It was some slaves out here early on, probably like 100 years ago. Probably like 100 years ago, 150 years ago, was out here picking slaves in this field. I mean, picking cotton in this field, right? And so if you look at those little bells right there, those just materialized like 2 days ago. So they had a machine out here. They was cutting all the crops down. And this is what is left right here. That's the cotton bills. And this right here is and I know it's probably some property. Somebody probably might come out here and mess with me. But this is money. This is old plantation slave money. If you look, this field goes all the way down there to those I don't even know what those are. But just the other day, it was stalks of cotton, and you still see it here. And this right here is a bill. It's a bill, or the remnants of a bill that was left over. But I literally wanted to come in and pick some cotton off the stalks, just so I can deal with the flavors of the ancestors. Deal with the spirit of the ancestors who worked these fields for free. And the people who probably own this field right now are probably the ones or descendants of the ones who had slaves working out here. But right now, today, they are still making money off of this field. Like it's harvest time, or it was just harvest time. So they took all of the cotton up, and you see where it's going to? It's going to Sampson Cotton Gin, or Sampson Gin Company. Now, right down this road right here is a cotton gin. I used to work at this cotton gin in the late 90s, like when I was like right out of high school. I used to work at a cotton gin. It was me and a bunch of Mexicans. And we would be out there 12 hours a day just checking the cotton. Like, it would come in bales like this, and they would run it through a machine, and they would get all of the thorns or whatever it is out. But the reason I'm showing this right now, because this is still money that is being made off of land that was tilled and worked from people who look like me. But the families who own this land today, they still have, they still are making money from the hard work and the labor of people who weren't get paid for it. You know what I'm saying? So of course they got machines to pick it and put it like this, right? Like the other day, it was like two big trucks out here. And so, but this is what our ancestors used to be out here in this field picking. This is what. So you know what I'm saying. Now this is North Carolina. If you go all the way down that street, If you go all the way down the street right here, there's nothing but big fields like this. Some are cotton fields, some are tobacco fields, some are, collard green fields. But like all the way down this road, and you see big houses, like backed off the land. Like, if this was one of those places, like there would be a big house way back there, and it looks like a plantation house. It looks like a real live plantation house, even today. And so that just has me thinking, like, all of the wealth that was built off the backs of slaves is still being regenerated. It's still being allowed to grow. It's still being passed down from generation to generation. And so when people say like the playing field is even now, or, get over it, or, we don't owe you nothing, but people are still living off the wealth and the land and the products and the labor that was given for free, if I'm making sense. So this is Goldsboro, North Carolina. This is Goldsboro, North Carolina. See, there they go right there. We right on time. So this is the truck that is taking those bales to the cotton gin. Sampson Gin Company. So this is a big agricultural business that we haven't never had a chance to tap into. If you look up, or if you do any research about, agriculture and crops and farming, it's very hard for black people to get into. Like the black farmers, and we did some stories about the people down there in Georgia with their farms, and other black farmers who are having trouble maintaining and getting funding, and having their properties bumped, because this is a billion-dollar industry right here. Cotton. This field right here was full of cotton, and we're gonna see how this guy gets the cotton into this bale right here. So that's who worked the land. So yeah, so now once again, I know it's a lot of black people who have farms and lands, but like the majority of farms, I guess in this, like, I know the history of Goldsboro, North Carolina. Like Goldsboro, North Carolina was, you know what I'm saying, for like people, I go to the library and look up, the people who had slaves. So I can best believe, like, this place I'm standing right here, this hollow ground that you see, slaves used to work this field. And there's another one down the street there that still has the cotton up. But they just literally baled this cotton. I'm gonna get a little closer, man. I'm gonna see how he sucked this cotton in, because this is how they used to come and drop it in on the cotton gin where I used to work at. But this field was like 2 days ago, this was filled with cotton stalk. So they done came out here, and I don't know, maybe they send people to glean this up. But this is a cotton field in Goldsboro, North Carolina, which is still being tilled and manufactured to this day. And this was full of cotton stalks. I don't know, they was probably like this high. I don't know if you can see my hand. It was probably like this high, and I really wanted to come pick some cotton off of them, but I waited too late. But we are in the midst of history right here. This is history. This is black history. This is white history. This is American history. Slaves used to till this land, but they never got paid for it. And then they were set free. They weren't given land. They weren't given 40 acres and a mule. The same people who enslaved them was able to continue to till this land and probably hire the same slaves as sharecroppers until modern technology made it so they can do it like this. It was a big machine. It was a big truck. They came and baled all of that cotton right there. And now he finna suck it up, suck it in, and take it to the cotton gin. Not picked by hand, and you can tell it's not picked clean. Well, yeah, so that's why they take it to the cotton gin. That's why they take it to the cotton gin where I used to work at, and they would. All right, so he about to back it all up. So this is agriculture. This is money. I don't know how much a bale of cotton is worth. Y'all tell me in the comments if y'all know. Now, this wasn't picked by hand. This was a machine. All right, because I saw the trucks. So this guy's finna put. I'm glad I made it out here today because I wouldn't have saw this. Now he's finna pick all to see how easy it is. You know, back in the days, we used to. They used to have to pick all this in a bucket by hand. Can you imagine how long it took? And this guy just comes out here and scoops it right on up. Who own? You know who? Let me ask my man who owned this field. I'm gonna ask him who owned this field. See who he can tell. See if he'll tell me. Make sure you know what I'm saying. I'm surprised they in a sack. Long ago it was, but people are still making money off of this land that was worked and tilled, and fortunes are still being built on this today. Hey, are you taking it to the? Are you taking it to the cotton gin down there? Huh? Sampson in Sampson County? You know who owned this field? You just working. Huh? I can't hear you. Oh, the lot is owned by Cherry Research Group? Oh, okay. Well, y'all, so Sampson Gin, y'all go all over North Carolina? Oh, okay. I used to work at that one down there when I was in high school. You know, they got one down there, right? How long you been doing this? You make it look easy.
This ain't the easy one.
Huh?
This ain't the easy truck. This the hard truck.
It just scooped it up, or you actually got to get out. That's what.
I got a reaper that raises and lowers my bed. And as the weight gets on the bed, it shifts. So I got to adjust it. And most of the other trucks got tracks. So all you got to do is put the tracks forward and backward.
Okay. Suck it up.
And you just pull the lever. And the tracks move. I got to throttle the gas pedal and move my bed up.
How much is a bale like that worth?
Last I looked, looks like less than 70 cents a pound.
70 cents a pound. So how many pounds you think that is?
Probably
2,500 pounds out of one. So y'all have about what, 4 or 5 out here? This is the third one. Yeah. Okay, appreciate you, man. I ain't gonna hold you up. Yeah. So yeah, this is the cotton industry in North Carolina. 70 cents a pound. We're gonna round it up to $1. So we're gonna say that's 2,500. I guess if you have 4 of them, that'll be 10,000. I mean, I don't know if that's a good crop yield. You know, I don't know how long it take cotton to grow. Will it, you know what I mean? So for Eli Whitney, the spirit bears witness to Eli. Yeah, Eli Whitney, the cotton gin. You know, this stuff you learn about, but this is big business, man. This is something that, you know, we haven't really tapped into. But I'm telling you, if you go down, man, it's a beat. But if you go down that road right there where you see them cars, I mean, all down that road for about 15 to 20 miles, it's nothing but farmland. And behind that farmland, like, you see gigantic mansions of people making money. See, like, I think that's one right there. You know, they got farmland behind their houses. And so when you think about it, all of this farmland, you said spit on it. Okay, I spit on it. But yeah, this is old slave plantation money. Now, if you heard them say that this is ran by the Cherry Hospital Growing Group. And let me show y'all some more history about this. This right here is Cherry Hospital. It was formerly known as the North Carolina Institute for the Colored Criminally Insane. Look it up. It was where they brought all of the black people who they deemed to be insane or how they say, well, a black man went and took something from a white woman. They'll send them all across the state and even the nation to this place right here. It's called Cherry Hospital, but they worked them as slaves as well. There's a few stories I might dive into about Cherry Hospital, but I know a lot of people who worked out there and who have worked out there, and they say that those places and these rooms and those buildings are haunted. They are haunted by the people because they did a lot of experimentation. Like you said, this is the Cherry Hospital. They said that this is run by the Cherry Hospital Growing Group. So the who owned Cherry Hospital? A bunch of slave owners back then, and they took the black people in there. They did a whole bunch of experiments, psychological experiments, genetic experience on them. One guy, famously, he couldn't talk or speak, and they said he had did something. He worked on these farms for like 70 years until he was finally they finally let him go. But basically, he was a slave. He was a slave in the 1900s. I forgot his name. I might do a whole little research on it. But this is Cherry Hospital for the I've heard of it back when I used to go. So yeah, this is Cherry Hospital, but it was formerly known as the North Carolina Institute for the Colored Criminally Insane. And this is how they used to do us. They would deem us insane, and they'll put us out here. I mean, there's farms all up and down this road. And this road right here, where you see that truck going, that road right there, leads all the way to Smithfield, North Carolina. Now, if you're familiar with Smithfield, North Carolina, they recently, and I call it recently because it was in my lifetime, in like 1980. I think I was 2 years old. But in 1980, they still had a sign that said, "This is Klan country," 40 years ago. And so when people say that, these things are not that long ago, or, get over what happened, people are still making money. They're making living off of, land that we cultured and we till, and a lot of people don't understand, they didn't go to Africa and get slaves, or, they didn't round up the people who were already living here and they were already slaves. No, these guys were planters. They were agriculturists. They were horticulturists. They were, astronomers. They were scientists. They were doctors. And so the spirit of the people who built this is still here. And I just had to come out here today because I've been putting it off. I really wanted to go out and pick some of this cotton when it was this was a very terrible place. And people always say that Goldsboro, because of that hospital right there, has a dark cloud around it. And if anybody from Goldsboro, they know exactly what I'm talking about. They know exactly what I'm saying. Anybody from Goldsboro, matter of fact, let me share this. I didn't even share it. From Goldsboro knows what I'm talking about. Like everywhere I go, well, a lot of places I go, when I say I'm from Goldsboro, and people who know the history, they'll automatically say, "Oh, you from where the crazy people at?" Especially older people. Oh, that's where the crazy people at. And Goldsboro does have a lot of crazy people, not necessarily in Cherry Hospital. It's just, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes people be crashing out. Yeah, so yeah, it's not that long ago, Tiffany Johnson. It is, it is current history. You know what I'm saying? People are living whose parents and grandparents, were the sons of slave owners. If not, the people were the son of slave owners. Once again, this is Goldsboro, North Carolina. Charles B. Aycock. They used to take the children on a field trip when we was little. I never went, and thank God I never got a chance to go because I was always in trouble. But they Charles B. Aycock birthplace. They would take us out there or take them out there, and they would be churning butter, and they would be literally on plantations with little black kids reliving the slavery. You know what I'm saying? Acting like this was a good place to be, when actually Charles B. Aycock was a self-proclaimed white supremacist. And he was the one who was a catalyst for the Wilmington race riots, where hundreds of black people were killed and, took their homes and their land and destroyed the black government of Wilmington, North Carolina. And so these things are historic to both of us, to white people and black people, but they want to make it a nostalgic story. Yeah, come to Charles B. Aycock birthplace. He was the governor of North Carolina. He was the education governor, and he was this and he was that. But he owned slaves, and he was a white supremacist. And, the Aycocks are still prevalent in this area today. Like, I think a couple of them sit on the city council, and one of them used to sit on the city council. One of them right now, I think, is on the county commissioner. Those are, you know what I'm saying? I would just assume that they are the same Aycocks from Charles B. Aycock. So, but, the history is still here, and the spirit is still here. Like, when I'm walking on this, I just imagine, all the black people planting and pulling this cotton. Like that picture that I showed on the thumbnail, like, that was about 2 days ago. And you see how high the cotton was. But, evidently, according to him now, I guess the people he's selling it to, they might pay $2,500 for that bill right there. Let me show it to you. But the people who get the bill, they're going to turn that into, probably $10,000 worth of goods, whatever. You know what I mean? So, kind of lowballing on the price. But, cotton, tobacco, corn, collards, cornfields all around here. But this is old plantation money. Don't get it twisted. Old plantation money. This is the history. And these places are everywhere. Like, I be traveling, sometimes on the back roads to Greenville and Snow Hill and Fayetteville, and you'll see little pockets of like this of just straight farmland, and you look back and it's big gigantic houses. I wish I could take y'all on the road on a drive down there, but I don't got the proper equipment to keep my cameras stabilized and watch the road. But this is definitely history. And once again, if you miss it, that is Cherry Hospital, as they call it, which is formerly the North Carolina Institute for the Colored Criminally Insane. Criminally insane. So they gave us a name to be able to enslave us even after slavery was gone. Now, they called it, you heard the man who grabbed that bill right there. He said that this field is controlled or owned by the Cherry Hospital Growing Group. That means it's a group of people. Old slave quarters that look. Hey, look, yeah. A field in Pottsville, Louisiana. Pop their cherry now. They made somebody else. Yeah, they definitely made, as the scripture says, oppression makes a wise man insane. Oh, he said research group. I think no. Yeah, well, it should be a research group because that's what they did. And so a lot of employees right there that work at Cherry, I don't know, maybe, but a lot of employees that work at Cherry, they'll park right there and smoke their cigarettes because you can't smoke cigarettes on Cherry's property. But yeah, so this is probably like they would have those criminally quote unquote insane black people out here tilling the farms and talk about their growing group. But I just it's been on my mind to do it. I wish I could have done it when the cotton was at full fledged, but it's still some. If it's 70 cents a pound, I don't know how much I can get. Like this is what they had to pick. They had to get this stuff out. They had to get that off, and some little dirt, and I thought that's what you said. It got, this is, imagine all day. And if you ever felt raw cotton is so dry on your hands. So I don't know if they had to get all the dirt and rub it like this or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or just put it in the bucket. But yeah, and this how, like, so I was at let me tell y'all, right. So I was at a recovery program, and it was out in Western North Carolina, and it was a bunch of white brothers out there who was recovering. They was from Tennessee, and one particular dude, right. So we were driving to West Virginia for like a little conference. See this, I don't know, this is like a cotton bud or whatever. So okay, this is a bud right here. This is cotton bud. So the root can I take this and start my own cotton field? Y'all know. But so the dude the dude was like, man, I was riding with my black friend one time, man. He was cool, right? And so, man, we was riding, man, and I was driving by, and I saw a cotton field, right? And this is a white guy talking. He riding with a black guy who's supposed to be his friend. He was like, I was riding by, and he stopped the car. I stopped the car and said, man, come on, bro. One time, man, just one time. Could you do it for me? Basically asked the black man to go out there and get in the cotton field and pick some cotton so he can laugh and joke about it, right? And so he said this to me 5 years ago when I was in the recovery and started laughing, right? And of course, I'm out there with a whole bunch of, white people. So I kind of chuckled, but I thought to myself, that is that inbred desire for, some white people to continue to see black people out in the field. Whether it was a joke or not, I don't know. This looked like a little cocoon. I don't know. This is a cotton bud. I guess it hasn't bloomed yet. Hold on, let me wipe off the back of my camera so y'all can see good. I don't know if y'all can see. But yeah, so this is, I don't know if it has bloomed yet, but this is homegrown, raw, North American, Goldsboro, North Carolina cotton. And now, ain't no way, no seeds, okay. But yeah, this is wet, maybe. Yeah, so this is wet, like a little fruit. Is cotton fruit? Because if this is wet right here. A young Republican leader's request, yeah, definitely. So if you break this down, so I guess it's not all. I don't know. So and then how I need a cotton grow. Maybe we should come together and start our own cotton field, buy some land, and try to compete with the cotton growers of North Carolina, because this is pretty interesting. But I can imagine. Matter of fact, I'm gonna keep this. This is homegrown cotton. It looks like a cocoon. It looks like a little. Okay, these are seeds then. Okay, so these are the seeds. I feel a little seed right there. But if y'all just joining, make sure y'all hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, man. But, I just wanted to come out here today, man, because of what we see in America. All of the racism and, the disrespect of black people. And at this point, the Hispanic people, Latino, everybody really who's not white. You know what I'm saying? But this is where it stems from, because 150 years ago, people who look just like me were bending down just like that little kid on the thumbnail, out here picking cotton. 150. What's this year? 2025. So we'll say 1870, 18. And mind you, the slavery just didn't end. Have the cotton bud didn't come to I never seen seeds, because modern cotton is seeded. Okay. But 1870, people were still out in the fields picking cotton. People were still out in this field, and I'm glad. So but it's so many other fields that you'll ride by, and in where are we at? Eastern North Carolina. And so I don't know. I mean, I've been some other places. I've seen them. Probably everywhere you go when you get out to the rural areas, the mainlands, the farmlands, you're gonna see places like this. I'm in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and we are here at the property of the Cherry Hospital Growing Group. And if you don't know what Cherry Hospital is, this is Cherry Hospital right here, which was formerly known as the North Carolina Institute for the Colored and Criminally Insane. So the seed should be big and brown, wrapped in cotton if it has seed. Well, yeah. So I did feel some seeds. I didn't take the time to unwrap all the cotton, but this is a modern day cotton field. Now, of course, let's go walk over here to this bale. We're gonna walk over here to this bale. This is a big bale. The man said cotton these days was about 70 cents a pound, which I think is pretty. He probably lowballed us on that right there. But this is a bale, and I don't know they had a machine to bale this cotton like this. I saw two white men out here with some trucks. But yeah, so this is what a bale of cotton looks like up close and personal. This is it right here. Oh yeah, so those are little seeds right here. They probably get me. So back in the days, they'll get you for stealing. If I was a black man back in the days and I took this, they'll give me 35 years hard labor. They eat the lambs out of the flock. But yeah, so this is what our ancestors used to pick right here on this ground. Somebody told me to spit on the ground. So, but yeah, this is a lot of the cotton. So there was another bale. And I guess this is the cotton that didn't get sucked into that bale. So I don't know if this is a pound or not, but I should get out here in a plastic bag. My live is freezing terrible. I don't know, you the first one that said it. Well, maybe because I am out here in the country. But yeah, so this is the old slave money. Cotton make our clothes such as our t-shirts, underwear, but the cotton now they have cotton pickers. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a tractor. It was a big tractor out here. A couple of them. It was a couple of tractors out here. Did you pick my shirt? I don't know, man, but I know my ancestors spent a whole lot of time out here and they never got compensated. So once again, I just wanted to, remind people of the situation where, people ask for reparations or, people still say that the playing field is not level. And this is a prime example of how the playing field is not level. Because the same people who own this lot or, those several lots down the street right there, they were able to build and pass down money from generations and generations and buy houses and buy fields and buy land and buy these things. While my ancestors were not able to build and stack wealth and regenerate things, they had to get out and struggle and come back and work for pennies on the dollar and, get beaten and, chased and ran out and lynched and hung and all those things. While their great descendants are inheriting the wealth of what has been built. What was being built by the people who helped them build the wealth. But they never gave the descendants of those people who helped build wealth. No, they just, kicked them off. They enslaved them, imprisoned them, So this is what I mean when, the playing field is never leveled when you have people with generational wealth, hundreds and hundreds of years of wealth built off black people. But when black people say, okay, well, give us something because, y'all got y'all wealth because of us. Oh, no, that is over. Everybody has the same opportunity. No, I don't have the same I didn't have the same opportunity as the person who inherited all of this field. You know what I'm saying? No, their opportunity is much bigger than mine. my parents and their parents, they had to work. Actually, my grandmother. Let's go back here. My grandmother worked for years at Cherry Hospital, formerly known as the North Carolina Institute for the Criminally Insane. So my grandmother didn't get a chance to just sit back and collect wealth and have workers till her field. No, my grandmother had to work to build and to get nursing license and to struggle and strive to raise 4 kids. And same thing with my with my parents. They grew up the same way. They didn't have nobody to leave them a big fortune of fame and a big fortune of wealth, or even knowledge how to amass wealth. No, they were used to living hand to mouth, hand to foot, which most black people, now I know there were some, early black people who owned land, what they call them freemans, and, who never were slaves and, was able to amass that wealth. Yeah, but for the majority of us, in America, we were the product of a slavery system, which didn't teach us, economics, money, relationships, business, enterprising. None of that was taught. We had to learn that on our own. We had to, get and study. We had to learn by trial and error. But the people who owned these fields and these lands hundreds and hundreds of years ago, they just taught their children a business. You know what I'm saying? And that goes for any business. A lot of them, were not in, after slavery or the agricultural boom, whatever, when the technology or the industrial boom, then they started buying like constructions and all those businesses, right? But the basis of the money was made off of the foundation of America, which was got to do some research. Freeman got tricked. Yeah, they got tricked too. Yeah. The Freeman. Yeah, they got ramrodded, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to come out here because I see, like, I'm riding down the street and I see all these big houses and I see all this property and land. I'm like, my people didn't have a chance to amass this when they were amassing it. You know what I mean? They didn't have the chance to build these big houses and build land and start businesses even in the 1920s and 30s. Because there were, still codes that say, hey, if you're not registered to vote, you can't buy a house or you can't open a bank account. So when people get it mixed up, when people are always saying how voting important it is, it wasn't even voting, it was being registered to vote. That's why they went around the country trying to register the people to vote, because without being registered to vote, you couldn't own a house, you couldn't get married, you couldn't go to school in certain places. They had certain stipulations that said, if you're not registered to vote, then you can't do this. Now, of course, then, okay, well, when they go to register to vote, they'll have all these tricks where you pick how many beans is in this bag right here. You know what I'm saying? They might have 6,000 beans in the bag, and they'll tell you to pick, and then, no, you can't do it, so you have to go home. Or, they'll tell you to read something, and knowing most black people can't read. So people kind of misconstrue the reason why voting was so important back then. Voting was not the end all be all, just being registered to vote. If you notice, many of the campaigns, they weren't, trying to get people to vote. They were trying to register people to vote. Because without being registered to vote, you couldn't own a land deed. You couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. So people got to understand, that, that's the thing. Yeah, and I know we don't own us. That's why, what I'm saying, Lord willing, what I'm saying, I won't buy a house unless it's straight cash money. You know what I mean? Because, you still a slave to that mortgage. You can't, and that's just my opinion, or, but yeah, we voted, so what else? Yeah, what else? That was, yeah. So yeah, the voting thing, I don't even get it, because, a lot of the elders, they swear by voting. If you don't vote, then No, voting was an ends to other means. It wasn't, okay, voting there, that everything's gonna change by voting. So that's, sometimes it's I kind of cringe when people say that. It's all because we don't vote. You know what I'm saying? It's all because we don't vote. If we don't vote, nothing's gonna change. Well, we've been voting for a long time. And nothing has changed. Like literally the same as Dr. Claude Anderson always put it. He said black people own less than 1/2 of 1% in the wealth of America today. At the end of slavery, black people owned less than 1/2 of 1% of wealth in America. So if you look at it like that, what has changed? It is the illusion of change. You know what I mean? Instead of sports and rappers, yep, definitely I vote because we have no fathers. Now, once again, so people are saying, like, I hate when people say my people died for the right to vote. No, they weren't died just to pull a lever. They were dying to register to vote so they can own property, so they can start businesses, so they can start joining unions, so they could get married, so they could, get tools and shop. You know what I'm saying? They weren't dying just to vote. I don't think anybody would die just to vote. They were dying to trying to register. Because if you register to vote, then you will be able to participate in the other aspects of society. So, you gotta create your own reality, and part of that is, once again, I give shout out to my people who are out, farming land and tilling land and starting gardens and growing groups, and teaching others how to do so, because it is only by that we can get out of the matrix. I always say we work every day. Well, most people get up and go to a job and work every day. Why do they work? They work to make money to pay for a shelter. They work to make money to pay for food. They work to make money to pay for clothes, right? When in reality, if you just get up and you can work and grow your own food, you can build your own house, you can make your own clothes, but that's too much work, right? That's too much That's too much of having your own destiny in your hands, right? And so somebody told me the other day that, President Trump repealed segregation, right? I'm like, okay, so what? That may be a good thing. Why? So now maybe we'll stop depending on white people for everything. Many people don't understand that when desegregation happened, a lot of black businesses went out the window. Why? Because black people were itching because they had us so psychologically messed up. Oh, you can't come in here, you can't come in here, you can't come in here. Now, okay, we can, so we're not gonna start. We're gonna stop going to the black stores and we're gonna go to all the white stores. So many black businesses and communities and towns, self-sufficient, got destroyed because we were, as Malcolm put it, and I like it, because we were so concerned about sitting on the toilet, using the same toilet as white people. And that's what it boiled down to. Because a lot of the schools that they were teaching black history. They were teaching self-sufficiency. But when the white schools opened, they didn't take the black teachers. You know what I mean? The black teachers were being discriminated against. And, eventually that's when they came up with the special education. And, I tell everybody right now, in 1990, right here in Goldsboro, North Carolina, I went to a segregated high school. In 1990, my high school was segregated. What do I mean by that? They had something called academically gifted, chapter 2, AP, right? And the majority of the time I was in those classes. But all throughout my years, elementary, junior high, high school, it might be me and 2 other black people in those classes because we were considered smart, right? But all of the regular lay black people, they were in regular classes. So what that mean, and that went for every grade. You can go to. So the white people were in the quote unquote smart classes, and the black people were in the regular classes. So we were literally segregated still under the guise of integrated schools. But that is the trickery. You know what I'm saying? That is, they still segregated. Yeah, I think somewhere in Mississippi or whatever. Somewhere in Mississippi, they were still having separate proms and stuff like that. Somebody said, Benzo, brother, can you run down my background? Well, that's a whole You know, that's a whole lot. But you know what I mean? I'm Richard Taylor, born right here in Goldsboro, North Carolina, author, speaker, poet, journalist, community advocate, mentor, minister, just all around public servant. You know, been in some situations in life that, you know, that are not so um, praiseworthy. I'll say that, but you know, I've used those situations to help others. You know, in the journey. You know what I mean? So, a believer in the Most High, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yeshua. You know, whatever my brethren and sisters, you know, whatever name we choose to use, the Most High, the Creator of all, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. You know, that's who I am. So that's my background, a creation of the Most High. Um, but yeah, man, this is it, man. I just felt like coming out here, man, into the heart of American history, which is the cotton fields. This is the heart of America. This was the labor, cotton and tobacco. If anybody knows anything about North Carolina, if you're from Goldsboro, I know a few of my friends as children used to work in the tobacco fields, as they call it, in the tobacco fields. They used to go to crop tobacco, right? And then my parents used to always talking about the tobacco fields. They would go work in the cucumber fields, because now anybody knows anything about this section of Eastern North Carolina, we have the Mount Olive pickle plant. Mount Olive pickle plant. If you go to any store, you go to the pickle section, you're gonna see Mount Olive pickles. Like Mount Olive pickles, which is still in Wayne County. Goldsboro is the county seat. You're going to see Mount Olive pickles and whatever say. Once again, if you like pickles, even if you don't, if you find yourself in the pickle aisle, look up and down. You're gonna see Mount Olive pickles. So that is why so many people worked in the cucumber fields. And you know, pretty much just North Carolina is an agricultural state, and people don't understand the money, the economy. That I was raised on the back of farm, Pawnee. Yeah, my mom was from Kansas. Don't go too soon. But yeah, so this is you know, the economy of North Carolina is based in agriculture, and agriculture was, you know, the base and foundation of slavery. And so all of this wealth that has been amassed, but also continuously is being amassed, once again should be rightfully divided to, as they say, make the playing field evil. No, nobody's enslaved anymore, of course. But you already hoarded. It's just like you start a Monopoly game, right? You start a Monopoly game and somebody has all the property. You know what I'm saying? They got all the money. They got all the community chest cards. They got all the get out of jail free cards. You know what I'm saying? They got all the houses in the hotel. And the only thing left on the board is Baltic Avenue and Mediterranean Avenue and them little blue joints right after the first railroad. You know what I'm saying? That is what America says. Okay, well, yeah, the game is not rigged. You know what I'm saying? The game ain't rigged, but you already set it up. You already been set up before the game started. You know what I'm saying? So that is what why I always, you know, harp on, you know, how history is still affecting us today. You know what I'm saying? There's not one like Dr. Claude Anderson says, um, we own the same amount of wealth as a collective as the end of slavery. And so I don't know how, you know, we have made so much progress. No, are we not in the fields all day sweating and you know, having our babies taken away from us, and you know, being subjected to inhumane treatment? That's up for debate. It depends on what you talk about. You know what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of people who work enslaved for meager wages just to put food on their back. Like, and that's why they had sharecroppers. After slavery, they had sharecroppers. Well, okay, well, we know you don't have any food, you don't have any land, you don't have any property, you don't have any shelter. So now you come back and work for us. You're gonna work for us all year, and we're gonna give you a little bit of crops, and we're gonna give you a little bit of clothing, and we're going to give you a place to stay. And at the end of the year, you pay us for everything that we gave you. So basically, they were back in slavery. You know what I'm saying? They called it sharecropping, but you know what I'm saying? They didn't share with you. They gave you they gave you just enough to keep working. You know what I'm saying? So, man, yeah, man, this has been like, I didn't plan on staying here for that long, but I know once I get to talking about this subject, you know, this is something that, you know, I've studied, and once again I've seen with my own two eyes, you know, how, you know, this little town right here is still basically a slave town. You know what I'm saying? Many people might don't want to agree with me or whatever, but you know, once again, blacks kind of, you know, and once again, it's not, you know, of course we have some black successful people, you know, but as a collective, you know, as a collective, the majority of the wealth in this county, and maybe in yours too, remains in the hand of descendants of slave owners. I just say that. I won't even say white people. You know what I'm saying? To make it less racist. You know what I'm saying? We'll just say all of the wealth in America remains in the hands of ex-slave owners. So, man, but yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. I hope y'all hit the subscribe button. It's finna be the Shabbat, the Sabbath. And many people don't like, so we just been so trained. I got to start talking about this more. The Sabbath is from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. That is the true Sabbath. And I always ask preachers, and pastors, why do we still worship on Sunday when we have the knowledge to know when the Sabbath is? Nobody can give me an answer. Well, God is, you know, they'll hit you with a scripture that, you know what I'm saying, that just, you know, just baffles me sometimes. Okay, well, now we know, okay, let's switch it to Saturdays. But who would do that, right? Because we have traded the traditions, we have traded the commandments of God for the traditions of men. They said, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. And, yeah, and so, yeah, if anybody want to talk to me, you know, y'all know my number, you know, 919-587-7782. My line is always kind of open, you know, so, you know, if y'all, I seen my brother or sister say we need to talk, so that's cool. Or you can go to any of my regular videos, not live. So my number is always floating on the bottom of the screen, man. But yeah, this is once again, if y'all appreciate the super sticker, Satoshi Stacker, appreciate you. But if y'all missed, you know, this is the North Carolina Institute for the Criminally Insane. And this is where a lot of black people were mishandled. A lot of black people were still enslaved. A lot of black people, you know, met some unsavory fates, all under the guise of mental health. The North Carolina Hospital for the Criminally Insane. And they tell me that this place is haunted. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all, man. But yeah, this has been a quick visit to the slave plantation, the old slave money in Goldsboro, North Carolina, man. Y'all be blessed. Peace and love, man. I'm out.